book lovers! It is G-Swizzel here, and I'm here today with my April TBR. As I'm filming this, it is currently the superhero-a-thon, and I'm trying to vlog my experience, so hopefully that goes well because I'm really bad at vlogging, and I never remember to edit the footage. I think I should probably edit the footage as I go, hey. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked because that's what G-Swizzel does. I'm here to share my April TBR with you guys, so the books that I'm planning to read in April. Majority of these books are not on the superhero-a-thon TBR. If you want to check out my full superhero-a-thon TBR video, I'll link that down in the description, so you can check that out. You can see what I'm reading during this fortnightly period. But in this TBR video, there will only be 2 titles from that because they are part of the Love Oz YA challenge and they correspond to prompts within that challenge. So I guess I'll start with those 2. The first one that I'm going to be mentioning is The Last Namsara by Kristen Ciccarelli. I've chosen to read this one because it corresponds to the prompt dragons, dragons everywhere, and this girl's a dragon slayer, so there's gonna be dragons. So I finally decided that now is the right time to pick this book up. And the second book that was on my superhero-a-thon TBR that corresponds to a Love Oz YA challenge prompt for April is Looking for Alibrandi by Melina Marchetta, and that corresponds to First Love. I think it corresponds to First Love. I don't know because it's really difficult to figure out what book is about a first love or not, but from what I heard, this does contain a first love in it. I'm gonna count it for this challenge, and if I read it and I find out that this book does not include a first love, then I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself, honestly. The next book I plan to read for the April Love Oz YA challenge is The Wicked Will Rise by Danielle, Paige, and this corresponds to the prompt of the month, which has to do with an animal companion, and there's a rat in here. The protagonist, I think, has a rat. I don't know, it's been months since I read the first book, so I need to get on to the second book, but yes, this should hopefully correspond to the challenge. I think it will correspond to the challenge, so I don't really need to worry about this one too much. And the final Love Oz YA challenge of the month is to read a book with a biracial protagonist. I've decided to go with Wing Jones by Katherine. I've had this book sitting on my shelf for ages because of this pretty cover and the pretty spine and all that stuff, but I'm finally gonna read it because it has to do with a biracial protagonist. I think the protagonist is Chinese and Ghanaian, which is such an interesting mix, and I'm honestly looking forward to see how the cultures combine in this book. I personally know that being biracial is so interesting because there are people in your family that come from different cultures. I know this firsthand because I'm biracial myself, and I'm really excited to read a book that has a biracial protagonist. Oh, this is gonna be so exciting. The next 2 books that I plan to read in the month of April are Prince Caspian and Voyage of the Dawn Treader, both by C.S. Lewis. These are books 4 and 5 in the Chronicles of Narnia. I read 2 and 3 last month, and I'm trying to read all of these before the middle of the year happens, so I still got a bit of catching up to do, so I really want to read these. These are very quick reads, and the fact that I'm reading the Chronicles of Narnia now is just honestly insane because, like, I could have read them as a child, but alas, I didn't read as a child. I liked the movies. Actually, no, I liked the first movie, and I wasn't a fan of the second one, and the third one was okay, but I'm really excited to get to these 2 and see my opinions on these ones, especially because I was not a fan of Prince Caspian the movie, so I'm interested to see where this is going to take future G-Swizzel. The second last physical book that I have to show you right now is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. I am planning to reread this. Like I said in my March TBR video, I'm planning to reread all the Throne of Glass books before the final Throne of Glass book comes out, and it comes out the day after my birthday, and I will remind you of that all the time. I just want you to celebrate with me. It's going to be very interesting to reread about Kay Elena when I don't ship them anymore. This was the book that made me love Kale even more, so this is going to be a very interesting read for me. I don't know what to expect from this reread because it has been years since I've read this book. It's been 3 years since I've read this book. I've reread every other book in this series except for Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. I mean, I've reread Throne of Glass, like I reread it for the first time last month, but the first 2 books in this series are the most interesting to reread because they're the least fresh in my mind. And I remembered when I decided when I was going to do a preparation reread for Empire Storms, I decided to skip the first 2 books and just move on to Assassin's Blade, Heir of Fire, and Queen of Shadows because those were the books that I just felt were more significant at the time, and now I'm rereading the whole series. This used to be one of my favorite books in this series, so I'm gonna see what I think about it right now and where it measures up compared to the rest of the books in the Throne of Glass series. And the next 2 books that I plan to read in the month of April are both review copies that are yet to be sent to me. So the first one I have to mention is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. I've heard amazing things about this one already. I barely know anything about it except that it is a siren villain origin story or something like that, and so I'm excited to see where this one is going to take me. And last but not least, Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. I'm so excited to read another Becky Albertalli book. You remember back in the day when everybody used to say that Rainbow Rowell was the queen of contemporary? I personally think that Becky Albertalli is now taking that spot. She is definitely the queen of contemporary. That's not because that Rainbow Rowell is bad. No, I am excited for Rainbow Rowell because she's currently writing Runaways comics, and I'm so excited to start reading her comics, man. Oh my goodness, like the fact that she's joined forces with Marvel, I have no chill. So I think that Rainbow Rowell takes the crown for the Runaways, but Becky Albertalli at the moment is the queen of contemporary. I'm gonna say that is a big statement, but I think a lot of people are gonna agree with me. Simon and Molly are two protagonists that I absolutely love, and I cannot wait to follow Leah. This is going to be the sequel to Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, and I am so ready. I'm so ready to see what direction these characters have gone in, and I'm excited to follow Leah because I feel like we barely got that much of Leah, and I feel like we just need more of Leah because Leah is amazing. I just need more Leah.
We interrupt this video with something that I failed to do originally, and that was to mention 2 book club picks of the month that I need to read. So first of all, we've got our Biblio Squad book pick of the month for April, and that is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi, Adeyemi. Our live show is literally like the second weekend of May, but I'm almost done this book. Like, I've literally got under 100 pages left, and I'm loving it. It's so good, and it's not even April, but it's a part of my April TBR because it's our Biblio Squad book pick of the month. So yeah, deal with it. But I'm gonna say that this book is really good. I cannot wait to discuss it with you guys for our Biblio Squad live show. The second book I will be talking about is the Name of the Book Club's book pick of the month. This is a new book club hosted by some of my amazing Australian fam out there, and I will be a part of the Sydney division of that. I mean, it's technically also an online book club because they will also be doing live shows, which is really cool. But I will be part of the Sydney meetups, and I'm really excited to be a part of this book club. And this book club focuses on sci-fi and fantasy, similar to the Biblio Squad, except this book club is more open to not only just young adult fantasy and sci-fi, but like adult fantasy and sci-fi, or like sci-fi fantasy, anything sci-fi fantasy out there. And so we took a poll to see which book we all wanted to read, and none of them were YA options, which was really funny. And it kind of got me out of my comfort zone because as much as I do love fantasy sci-fi that isn't YA, sometimes YA fantasy and sci-fi is my default. But after the result of the poll, it looks like we will be reading The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I've heard a lot of things about Robin Hobb and never really intended to pick anything up by Robin Hobb, but look where we are. I am going to start reading Robin Hobb with the squad. So this will be a very interesting first experience with Robin Hobb's books, as well as the fact that this is my first experience in a Sydney book club. So this is going to be very interesting, and I'm really excited to read this with them and discuss it with them once we do our meetup. Anyway, future G-Swizz will conclude, so let's get back to it past G-Swizz.
So that's going to be it for this video today, book lovers. There will be links to purchase these books if you want to, and you can also follow me on my social medias. I'm at G-Swizzel Books on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also at Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/G-Swizzel. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.